of our Empathy Summit, Designing for Empathy Summit and workshops. We're at the Phillips Collection, and I would like to thank our hosts, Dorothy Kosinski, Museum Director, and Donna Jante, who has been just amazing in making this possible. And they will also share some remarks later on. I thought it would be a good idea for us to just take a look at the day's agenda before we begin, and then we'll have some remarks from our hosts, and then we'll start the program. Okay? And again, I would like to thank all of our supporters. Some of the representatives are here from Glencairn Museum, and I don't know if anybody from Asian Art here, or the GW Textile Museum. Without your support, really, and just by providing content and by providing all kinds of other support, this event could not be possible. So thank you so much. I also would like to thank all of our presenters who took a risk to come here. It's an expensive city and everything. Some of them are just independent performers or facilitators and scholars. So I really, really appreciate you being here, taking the time to do the journey. And I was thinking, because I'm from this town, and I realized that for those of us who are in this town and participating in this event, it is just really difficult to separate our daily lives from this wonderful thing that's happening here. And I'm thinking this should really be a retreat. We should be in the nature. And we should just have presentations and workshops in the mornings, and take long walks in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's the vision, like Andrew said yesterday. If we can keep that vision, maybe we can make it happen one day. So the theme of the summit is the heart, and this was inspired by many things. But last year, our keynote speaker, Kabir Helminski, talked about the heart and the heart's ability to perceive qualities rather than quantities. And then this education of the heart has been a concept on my mind since I was a child. But then we received this wonderful letter from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and he referred to it as like an education of the heart. And so I think we are onto something here. Education of the heart is nothing new. Many traditions have been doing this without even calling it that. But I think it is rather new for museums and creative professionals and designers to really look into to create perhaps new narratives and new ways of perception, new ways of engagement with the other. It could be art, it could be another object, it could be nature, it could be sea urchins like we experienced on day first. So we are working on it, right? With that, I also would like to announce that our next summit will be in New York. And I don't see my colleague here from Fashion Institute of Technology, but she was there yesterday. She'll join us later today. So she made this possible. And we are still looking for more partners, because we can design this event together of what we want it to be like. So do we want more presentations, more workshops, more site visits, more connections, dialogue time? But the thing is that they generously offered, Brenda and another colleague generously offered help in creating a student engagement framework for designing for empathy. And this was very exciting to me, because then we will have a chance to learn from young generation, those designers that are coming up, and we will have an opportunity to be with diverse, even more diverse populations, and then they'll learn from all of your expertises and insights and experience, and then hopefully this can create this ecosystem where we have this like empathy-based design and narrative making and experience design, and then institutions who are willing to engage in this type of work, then they will know where to go, right? We are creating content, we are creating a space for this to happen. So this is very exciting. It is all new, like every year it has been, it is work in progress. This is co-creating, co-developing. We are learning together, we are making this together. So I would welcome your thoughts and ideas on partnerships especially for bringing diverse communities to, let's say, somewhere like New York, right? We don't want to be in our bubble. So we need to really find funding and, you know, get them accommodations and some, you know, honorariums, and all those things are really necessary because it also shows the world that we value this thing. You know, this is important work. So we can talk more about that. I would like to acknowledge the land we are on. Washington, D.C. sits on the ancestral lands of the Anacostans, also documented as Nakotcham, and the neighboring Piscataway and Pamunkey peoples. We gratefully acknowledge the native peoples on whose ancestral homelands we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant native communities who make their home here today. With this, you know, not being from this country originally, it took me time to sort of like understand where this was coming from. And but recently I went to San Diego as a guest of the Museum of Us, who are also one of our supporters. And the first day of this cultural competency visit, they hired an indigenous group of people who facilitate site visits. And I got a chance to see San Diego from indigenous view. And these are people that are professionals, they have their PhDs, they're making documentary films, they're scientists. Yet, you know, anytime they look at a street name, it only celebrates their oppressors, perhaps, right? Even their baseball team called Padres. And you know, as a foreigner, I would never be able to access that information. But I think maybe we can do this in New York too. Maybe that's, you know, first day of our visit should be this, you know. So this really, that experience made it real for me, and it only reinforced that, you know, empathy is an experience. Oops, sorry. So we have this beautiful program today. Thank you for our speakers again. We will start with Yulia Kravchenko. She just finished her Fulbright scholarship. She's from Ukraine originally, and she'll tell more about herself. And then we have Anita Novak, a longtime collaborator online. This is the first time I'm meeting her in person, so excited. Then we have Zorana Ivsevic and Pablo Tinio. They have this presentation and then a workshop in the gallery, which is this beautiful gallery space. So that's where we'll spend our afternoon. And then lovely Donna and Aparna will conclude the summit, you know, the 3 days with this meditation, art-inspired meditation. And I cannot think of a better way to conclude it. And we will have, I think, a little bit of time to just reflect. There's always so much to talk about. It is, you know, we could have a whole week, right? So with that, I would like to begin. And I think this was my last slide. Just as a reminder, our theme is the heart and perceiving the world through the eyes of the heart, like Mary Hall showed us so, I mean, deeply. Really, I mean, we went very deep, very quickly. I think everybody had this amazing experience, and most of us didn't even know how to describe what was happening, but something new was happening. I mean, that's how I felt. And also in our in-gallery talk with Aisha and Andrew's tap dance. And, you know, most museums might think, you know, why do we have a tap dance in an art museum or, you know, at an empathy conference? But all the words that he used were actually directly related to our everyday lives and the choices that we make and how we get to know ourselves, self-knowledge. Okay, so before that, I would like to turn the floor to Donna. Thank you so much again for making this possible for us.
Thank you, Elif. We're so happy that you're here. We're delighted to welcome all of you to the Phillips today. I am so happy to introduce Dorothy Kosinski, our director, to make a few remarks to welcome you today. Dorothy has been the director of the Phillips Collection since 2008. She has ushered us into the 21st century with empathy. And I am always grateful, and to use your words, Elif, Dorothy has helped create spaces for these programs that are based in the heart and help us act and live with empathy. So with that, I am going to let Dorothy welcome you. Thank you.
It always brings me almost to tears, because I appreciate Donna's work so much. So welcome to everybody. I'm so grateful and honored that you convene here. Very grateful to Elif, who is such a force with your power of convening, your publications, your thoughtful activities. And it does mean a lot to me personally that you come here. So, can you indulge me for a few minutes? I always do this. I kind of go off the script. So, 5 years ago was the first one. It's amazing to me. So that I had just brought on board our new inaugural Chief Diversity Officer, Makiba Clay. And we were in the midst of, I think, absorbing the impact of her powerful, transformative work across our institution. In no way narrowly scripted. If you know Makiba, you know that would be impossible. So we were in the midst of that beautiful, transformative phase, and Elif was bringing together the first summit, and then there was that wonderful invitation to join the group to meet with the Dalai Lama. And I was invited, and I couldn't go, which is like maybe the most painful part of being a director of an art museum, is that all the really profoundly wonderful experiences are not necessarily yours. So I said to Makiba, you know, and the look on her face was just amazing. She was just, and I'm so glad that she was the one who could come back with that beautiful experience and infuse so many of those lessons of the heart and of empathy into our work here. So thank you for that. We always refer to, our Genesis story, but, in the midst still of a pandemic, the Phillips collection was birthed in the wake of the previous pandemic, when Duncan Phillips he first had lost his father, but then his brother, with whom he was very close, died of the influenza. And he formed this life project, he says, as a way of finding a pathway out of sorrow. He always wrote about the joy-giving power of art, and his entire project, and it was a life project, surely it was about collecting, but it never lost that compass, and I always found that very impressive. So, before I eat up your morning, I just want to reference, I spoke about this a few minutes ago with some of your colleagues, but last night I was here for a program late into the evening, and it was our annual International Forum Artists of Conscience. So it's, I don't know how many years we've been doing that, 10 years. And it's kind of a loose platform to try to give ourselves the opportunity to stretch beyond narrow confines of what a art museum does, and to tackle the urgent issues of our time. So we've dealt with sort of art and wellness, veterans and the impact of art making in healing, climate destruction, gender equity, racial inequity, bringing together different voices, unusual voices. So last night, the stepping off point was a tiny installation upstairs of Jacob Lawrence's Hiroshima prints, and paired with drawings by children from Hiroshima. And we worked with the All Souls Unitarian Church and their choir and some of their congregants with Mel Hardy, who is an anti-nuclear armaments activist, with an artist, with the musicians, with art historians, on our own chief curator. But I have to say, heart was at the center of this. It was eerily somber, but profoundly moving experience. Started out with music, moved into a panel discussion, and then concluded with the choir. But so it was basically Jacob Lawrence's response to John Hersey's harrowing publication about that unthinkable destruction. The children's drawings showing such resilience, a power of hope, and then the entire evening, sorry, I'm not doing it, it's morning, but it was all about what you're talking about today. It was not about knowledge gathering, fact gathering. It was experiential in its power. It was all about some of our core values at the Phillips of equity, creativity, resilience, and empathy. So I thought, you know, I'm stepping away from my directorship at the end of this calendar year. And so I'm taking such profound pleasure in having these experiences and connecting the dots of our empathetic practice here. So I hope you have, I can't stay with you. I've got to go up to those other far less inspiring aspects of my job. But I'm really honored that you're all here with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I would just talk very briefly about the Phillips collection and, of course, its connection to empathy before we get started with Julia's work. So Dorothy mentioned that the museum was founded as a direct result of another pandemic, bringing art and wellness together. And all of the programs, I'd say all of our programs, honor that connection. Art is linked with wellness. Here are our founders, Duncan Phillips and Marjorie. Duncan Phillips had a vision that the Phillips collection would be an intimate museum combined with an experiment station. And you will see that as you go into the galleries. The works of art are not hanging the way they are at NGA, or usually, NGA, chronologically or by nationality. They are hanging in conversation. And we, as viewers, are part of the meaning makers. We're part of that conversation. And Duncan Phillips, way back in 1921, when he opened his home as a museum to bring solace to the world, knew that conversation was a way of healing. We have recently opened a satellite location in Southeast DC called the ARC, the Town Hall Education and Recreation Center, and it is intended to be a part of the community. All the programs that we present at the ARC are co-created with the community. So even though Duncan Phillips said he founded his museum to be a, quote, beneficent force in the community, unquote, we know that to really be beneficent and full of empathy, you need to co-create. It has to come from the community. We can't just go deliver what we think is appropriate because we don't know. So I'm really excited about the programs we're having at the ARC, and this is our space right here, right on the ground floor with these gorgeous windows, so we can project images right out into the street and invite the community to come in. This is just an overview, a snapshot of some of our programs that have empathy and the heart at their base. This is our creative aging program that is a 10-year partnership with Iona Senior Services, a grant-funded partnership. We bring them to them, these are older adults with memory loss and early stage dementia. We bring them to the museum on a Monday when the museum is closed so that they have the whole museum to themselves. And then we visit the senior center twice a month on other months to create art, expressive responses to what they've seen at the Phillips. And this is a meditation in the gallery as part of this wonderful program that Dorothy helped us start called Nature, Spirit, Art, that looks at climate change and how we can be climate activists through art. So this is Aparna. Those of you who don't know her yet, we'll meet her this afternoon if you can stay for our session. So she's leading a meditation in this shocking gallery that Klaus Ottmann curated. He took the frames off our foundational works, like a Van Gogh and a Cézanne, you can see Monet. He took them out of their frames, no glass, no frames, and he put them on the wall. I have never seen that at any other museum. It was shocking, but it was so profound to see these works of art in all their vulnerability, the way that Van Gogh would have seen it on the easel. So we had a beautiful meditation, and we hope we can replicate something like that this afternoon. Okay. And then this is at the Arc, so you can see the space, the beautiful windows. We're working with children with educational and medical support needs at Apple Tree Pre-K Charter School, and then at Turner Elementary School that's up the street. So those are just two of our programs at the Arc. And here we are. So again, welcome to the Phillips, and I hope that you'll have time today to explore some of the galleries. And if not, just email me and we can arrange for you to come back anytime and enjoy the exhibitions. And let me know if you have any questions at all.
Thank you.